In this video, we're going to show you how to install the ball joint on your Subaru Legacy located on your front steering knuckle. Using a 19mm thin wall socket, I'm going to go ahead, loosen and remove our lug nuts and our locking key. Go ahead and grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now that we have our wheel removed, we're going to be underneath the vehicle and want to go ahead and separate our sway bar end link from the control arm. On our particular model, we have a 14mm on the inside of our stud here, and then a 15mm nut. Now that we have our nut off and we have the sway bar end link separated as much as we can, which this will work just fine. The reason for this here is that when we undo our bolt here from our knuckle securing our ball joint, I want to go ahead and have some flexibility of this control arm to move up and down without the sway bar causing resistance on it. We want to use a 14mm socket to loosen and remove this bolt. Before we do that, I'm going to use some rust penetrant and spray inside the split right here on the back side of our knuckle. Now I want to be careful with this here. You don't want this bolt to break. So sometimes once you break it free, it's best to work it back and forth. But you'll know when it comes free. You can just spin that right out. Now at this point here, if you wanted to, you could hook up an impact driver or something like that. Power tool to go ahead and zip that bolt out the rest of the way. Now this split on the knuckle itself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the steering assembly and I'm going to rotate it so that that split is facing towards us. I'm going to go to the other side of the vehicle and just crank that steering right over like so. I'm going to take a small chisel here and kind of open this up. What I'm really trying to do here is just trying to open this up, just kind of break it free a little bit. That's pinching the ball joint in place here. I'm not trying to wedge this in there. If it does, that's okay. You can see I did wedge that in there a little bit, but I can grab that control arm. You can see the ball joint coming out. Now that we have the ball joint separated from the knuckle, we now want to go ahead and separate the ball joint from the lower control arm. On the bottom here, we have a cotter pin. I'm going to use a pair of pliers here, some cutters, and I'm going to straighten out the two legs that are normally on here. The little tabs or whatever you want to call them. And once those are as straight as possible, I'm going to go ahead and try and grab the loop here and rock that out, pulling. So pinch and rock, using the nut as a backbone. Pinch and rock, pinch and rock. In most cases, you can go ahead and pull that cotter pin out complete. Now this is junk anyways, you never reuse these. But for any reason, if this is so rotted that it just breaks off inside, at that point there, because we're replacing the ball joint, go ahead and just put a socket on here with the impact gun and blast that nut right off. You'll be fine. Using a 19mm socket, loosen and remove the nut. Go ahead and move that over. I'm just gonna go ahead and try and whack this up and through. There it is. I want to clean up the control arm. The other thing you need to do is we need to clean the inside of our knuckle right here, this port or this hole. We can go ahead and use some spray solvent. We're going to clean it out. If it feels like it's rusty, you can use a little bit of sandpaper on the inside to clean up the inside of that port there, and then spray it out with some solvent. On our particular model, it is super clean. I have nothing in there that I need to clean out as far as using sandpaper, but some of the older cars, they will have some rust in there. So just clean that out. I'm going to apply some anti-seize compound to the inside here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our ball joint. We did apply a thin coat of anti-seize compound to this as well. Drop that inside here. And then we can just pull down on our control arm and get our ball joint lined up. Let's go ahead and work that inside. I'm just using a dead blow or rubber mallet. And go ahead and pop this up and in. We can grab that other wheel and rotate this a little bit. And we can go ahead and grab this pry bar. And basically what we're doing is we just want to kind of maneuver our knuckle and our suspension components to line up a little bit better. Now that the ball joint is seated, and take the supplied bolt, put the lock washer on there, and then get that started in there. I'm just going to thread it down as far as I can by hand. Go ahead and get the nut started for our ball joint here. Let's go ahead and snug this down. On the new bolt, this is a 16 millimeter. Go ahead and snug that down. Go ahead and snug this down. Let's torque down the bolt going through the knuckle, securing the ball joint to 39 foot-pounds. Now on this particular vehicle here, we have the steel control arm. We're going to go ahead and torque down this nut here, this castle nut, to 28 foot-pounds. If you have an aluminum control arm, it is going to be 22 foot-pounds. Now we're not done there. We need to tighten this an additional 60 degrees, and we're going to show you how to do that. Now trying to figure out your 60 degrees, what it is. 90 degrees is a full quarter turn. 60 degrees is just shy of that, and then 45 is going to be less than that. So we need to bring that up at an angle. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and use my marker, and I'm going to mark on the nut a fixed point, and then on the ball joint stud, I'm going to mark where a 60 degree would be. So 90 would be over here. I'm going to mark it just a little bit shy of that on the ball joint stud. And then when I tighten this nut, I'm just going to tighten it until this mark lines up with the one on the stud itself. Okay, now that we have that lined up, the next thing we need to do is focus on the notch and where the hole is in our ball joint stud so we can fit our cotter pin into it. So go ahead and locate that hole. Now our hole in our ball joint stud is right here, and we can fit our cotter pin into it. Now for some reason, if this notch on our castle nut is not lining up with the hole, continue to tighten the nut until the hole opens up with the next notch. Never loosen this nut for it to line up. So at this point here, ours lines up. We're gonna feed our cotter pin through. We're gonna grab our pliers. I'm gonna grab one of those legs here, bend that over. I'm gonna snip off the extra leg hanging off the back and then snip off the excess here. Tap that up. So you can use a pry bar to go ahead and get your sway bar to flex and get that stud installed there. Tap that on through, install the nut. Let's torque down the sway bar end length nut to 33 foot-pounds. At this point here, you can go ahead and get your wheel installed. If you need to, repeat for the other side. Go ahead and take your wheel. Get that lined up on the studs. Ideally, you want to go ahead and get all of the lug nuts started by hand first, and then we'll come on back and snug them down. We just want to gently snug these. Do this in a crisscross or star pattern. Now let's go ahead and torque them. You want to get and torque down your lug nuts to 88 foot-pounds. Ideally, you want to do this in a crisscross or star pattern. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.